have threats against the red heifers. Apparently Hamas wants those eliminated. We'll hear a clip from one of the breeders of those red heifers, a friend of Dr. Rob Lindstedt. We also have, of course, the ongoing slaughter of the Druze and Christians in Syria. And really, frankly, other than, some conservative and Christian news outlets, this just is not gaining traction. Folks, that's a dangerous sign. It's a dangerous sign when Islam is allowed to march and murder with impunity and the media goes silent. And that's largely what's happening. And of course, the Islamists now have taken down about 18 cities in America. We dealt with that on Friday on Brandon House Live. Named the 18 cities, brand new article by Annie Cyrus. She'll be with us tonight to give us an update on several other things going on. Is there any good news? Yeah, there is some good news. There's some good news related to the Supreme Court. The last few weeks have been putting out incredible rulings. I also just saw something, I can't remember what it was, something the other day that I thought, well, that's really good news. We may be getting more coming from President Trump when it comes to the IRS and getting the IRS under control or maybe gone. We also we're hearing more and more from the Treasury Secretary. Treasury Secretary talking about the Federal Reserve and what a mess that organization is. Of course, there's Tulsi Gabbard coming out and openly talking about the coup d'etat by what apparently the records show, we all knew, Brennan, Clapper, Comey, Obama. Apparently Obama has been told he needs to lawyer up. Now, here's one of the questions I have. Why throw out all of this great information from the Trump administration if, the word is if you don't do anything about it? In other words, if you throw out all this great information, and I'm so glad they have, what do we as the American people do if the administration doesn't do anything? If the administration doesn't use the powers that it has to deal with such behavior? Are these people going to be indicted? Will the DOJ form a grand jury and indict these people, including a former president of the United States? They indicted Trump. They marched him in. They did his mugshot. Remember that? They set the precedent now, folks, on how they treated a former president. So maybe it's now time for not trumped up charges, pardon the pun, but real charges. Now, if this does not happen, you have to ask yourself, why? Is it all a distraction from something else? Is it a distraction from Epstein? Is it a distraction from all the Palantir projects going deep inside the feds? Is it a distraction? Or could it be this, folks? If all of this information, great information, is put out by the Trump administration, which I'm very thankful for. But if in the end nothing happens with this great information, actionable information, then one must ask, is this because President Trump knows that the deep state is so deep, nothing can happen? Because you have the government, judges, so many judges blocking President Trump. So he puts it out there knowing that nothing's going to happen. Is this because he wants the American people to do something about it? I don't know. If nothing happens at the federal level, is this his way of telling the American people the deep state is so deep, there's nothing we can do about it? You're going to have to take on the federal government at the state level. Because if nothing can be done at the federal level, that's where we have to start having that conversation again about secession and states saying, we're out. This was a voluntary agreement. We entered into it, and we're out. We're not going to be the slaves of the federal government. These are the only things I can come up with as to why you'd put this kind of information out. If, again, I use that word, nothing can be done at the federal, or is done at the federal level. Let's pray it is. Boy, there's so much in the news. But we got to get to the Middle East, because Israel, the Middle East, seems to be the center of so much. Joining me now is Dr. Rob Lindstedt. Oh, you don't have Dr. Rob. Well, we're going to have to get him really quick because he's got a meeting. Do you want to come call him on my cell phone? Because he's got a meeting. He's going to have, we needed to go to him very quickly. Well, let's go to Aaron Lavarco. He's our reporter live on the ground in Israel. And if I could see, that would be great. Aaron's lovely face. Aaron, by the way, I think just turned in another tour to us. So later this week, we'll be releasing another tour site by Aaron Lavarco, our reporter, and now our tour guide, our online tour guide in Israel. Aaron Lavarco, brought to you by our foundation, worldviewfoundation.com, worldviewfoundation.com. Aaron, welcome back to the broadcast. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Brandon. Great to be with you.
Aaron, where did you just go, by the way, and film?
I was in Nazareth.
You did go there. Okay, we talked about that. You did it. All right, well, I haven't seen it. You just texted me today, said you've loaded it all up. We're looking forward to unveiling it. That's awesome. All right, let's get to this, what's going on with Israel before we have to squeeze in Dr. Rob Lindstedt. Logan, let me know, because I know he's on a tight time schedule, please. They're joining now. Now, the Trump administration, somebody in the Trump administration, I'm sure you've seen this, right? Aaron, somebody in the Trump administration is saying that Benjamin Netanyahu, he's a madman. Trump's team frets about Netanyahu after Syria strikes. And they're saying he's a madman. He's blowing everything up. What is he doing? Every day it feels like there's something new. Bibi acted like a madman. He bombs everything all the time. Supposedly one White House official told Axios.
Hey, Brandon, do you remember when Jolani and HTS overthrew Assad? Assad fled. What did Israel do? The first thing we did, we bombed everything in South Syria. So this guy from the White House, he's correct. Netanyahu is bombing. But what is he doing? Is he doing it because he's bored? Because he's a naughty little boy and he's up to
because he's a madman? That's what they're saying.
Well, it's because he's a madman. By the way, Hosea the prophet quoted the people of Israel by saying that they were saying that the prophet is a madman. That's what the people of Israel were saying about the prophets. No, Netanyahu is being strategic and he is planning it. He knows what he's doing. The reason why he bombed everything in Syria, runways, he bombed military installations, because he knew that if he didn't, then Jolani would get his hands on this runways and ammunition and all of that. So Netanyahu had a strategy, he had a plan. So this person who's accusing Netanyahu, he may be right that he's bombing everything, but he needs to ask the question, why is Netanyahu doing that?
Well, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I don't support Netanyahu on everything he does. I've been clear about that, right? But I'm all for this. I'm all for this. This, and again, the images coming out of there. We'll play some of them on Brandon House Live tonight. The videos come. They're making people jump from buildings to their death.
Yeah.
They're killing. They're beheading. One guy's holding up two heads that used to be attached to someone's body. Two different people had their heads taken off. And this is just, we got an evangelical leader, I guess, in Syria, and his family have been murdered. I wanted to have you comment on all this, but I got to go real quick. Stand by, Aaron, because Dr. Rob Lindstedt is on a tight schedule. Dr. Lindstedt, I wanted to invite you to this conversation today because you sent me something interesting over the weekend about the red heifers. Tell our audience what's going on with this gentleman that you personally know.
Well, there's some things that just keep recycling. One of those is the story of the red heifers. I want to start back 20 years ago. Everyone laughed at me. They told me to preach the Bible when we started talking about this. And so I said, well, it is in Numbers 19. It's also in Hebrews. Talks about the essence of a heifer. But what's interesting is, why has there been such an opposition to the red heifer, particularly by Islam people? And this little clip shows one of the reasons why. I'm convinced that part of the reason that the October 7th situation occurred was because to try to stop sacrificing the red heifer. And I think Aaron's been to Shiloh where they are, and I've been there now, and some friends of ours, good friends of ours, are actually ones responsible for bringing the red heifers over. This is a fellow that works with Byron, and his story is unique. I've never heard the official account of why Islam and how they were so involved. And so, again, this story just keeps coming up. It never lets down. Couple that with, I think, what you played on your show and I played on my daily show, the fact that last week they took at least one of the red heifers that had imperfections, had several black hairs, and they did a practice sacrifice, not on the Temple Mount, but it shows that this is an ongoing search there, and it shows how serious they are. They are very emphatic. Sooner or later, they're going to bring about sacrifices on the Temple Mount, and to do that officially, they've got to have a purified priesthood, and they've got to have the cremated ashes of a red heifer. So the film that we're looking at right now is charcoaling one of the red heifers that was impure as a practice, of all things, a practice sacrifice. I've never heard of a practice sacrifice. Maybe Aaron has, but I have not.
And now there's a threat. Okay, let's go to the clip that Dr. Lindstedt sent me this weekend. Let's roll it, please.
The Muslims used to come out here, and they would come every year during Ramadan, before Ramadan, and they'd choose a male without a blemish. And they'd search him over the same way I watched the Hebrews checking over this heifer, except it would be a male. And so over the next several years, they would come and they'd buy them. And I had more and more of them coming. So one year they came to me and said, Ty, we'd like to start buying all of your bulls that don't have a blemish. And we'll buy all of them, and we'll pay market price for them. It'd be worth a couple $100,000 to you a year if you do this. I thought, well, you sound pretty good. Then they said, but there's one condition.
All right, we're going to come back. We're going to hear what that one condition is. What do you think the one condition is, folks? The smart audience, I bet they can guess. Aaron's smiling. I think he knows too. It's the Muslims we're dealing with.
Consumers often ask, what should I expect when I take the Bella Grace elixir? And the answer's varied. It really depends on what your health and wellness needs are. I would consider this as your foundational core product for a whole range of health and wellness issues. Let me give you a few examples. If you're a little bit older and you have some joint health issues, some problems with mobility and discomfort, the elixir is going to be your best friend. If you have some skin health issues, wrinkles, hydration, aging, all of those elements are going to be benefited from the elixir, including age spots. Now, if you're in a younger demographic, maybe visual health is where you need some assistance. Eye fatigue, dry eyes, all of those are going to be benefited by the elixir. It's a core product because it benefits so many.
All right, welcome back. Worldview Radio, our website, worldviewradio.com. By the way, our big national conference is coming up Friday night, October 3rd, Saturday, October 4th. Quite the lineup. Gordon Chang, Alex Newman, Sidney Powell, Dr. Lana Adia, Dr. Andy Woods, Chris Martinson, the lead pollster of Rasmussen, Mark Mitchell. And It's in the very nice community of Collierville, Tennessee, which, by the way, had our town square. Our town square was rated the #1 town square in America a few years ago. In very nice, beautiful Collierville, Tennessee. It's I was actually down on the town square this morning. Had to get some pants hemmed. Yeah, that's not uncommon. They never make pants that fit me. Total discrimination out there. Total discrimination on vertically challenged people. But anyway, I had to get some pants hemmed. Went down the town square. Beautiful town square. Looks like something out of Mayberry. And got an old hardware store, like something out of Mayberry. It's got a hamburger joint where they make hamburgers, and they have the same grease. How far back, Logan? Since the 1950s or something? Or further? The grease in that hamburger place. Yeah, it's it doesn't sound very appealing, does it? But anyway, it's also where a great Civil War battle took place, and we had a lot of dead Confederate and Union soldiers in the town square. You can see all that if you come to town. And by the way, if Memphis, Mid-South is such a horrible area as what is that, Stephen Miller of ESPN and others want to make fun of my town? Stephen A. Smith, whatever his name is, Stephen Miller. Century-old grease, 100-year-old grease. You can go there and have a hamburger during one of our breaks with century-old grease. Doesn't that just sound yummy? It actually is. I've had one. But if it's such a horrible place, the Mid-South, which it isn't, let's see. Grok just came here. Elon. Some humongous dealership, auto parts dealers moving here along with AutoZone. They've already been here. And now Logan tells me a $10 billion data center by Google. Yeah. So don't buy it, folks. It's a beautiful area. You'll see for yourself when you come to our national conference, October 3rd and 4th. Full details at worldviewstore.com, worldviewstore.com. I think there'll be plenty to talk about. All right, let's go back to the video real quick because I know Dr. Rob Lindsted's on a tight schedule here. So the guy's offered a couple $100,000 a year by the Muslims if you give us your heifers that are spotless, no blemish, but there's a catch. What do you think the catch is, folks? Here we go. Listen.
He said, but there's one condition. We want to be able to sacrifice these bulls on your property. I really believe that Satan knew that these heifers were going to be coming from this ranch, and he wanted to stop that plan the same way the Muslims built a cemetery in front of the eastern gate. When they told me, all you got to do is let us sacrifice them on your ranch and we'll do all the rest. Of course, I didn't have to think about that much at all. I was worried more about the spirits that they'd leave behind. And so I told them no, and that's the last time I ever saw them. They never came back after that. And we had several of them coming every year by then. That was back in the 90s when all this was happening.
They wanted to come and sacrifice all your bulls here on your property every year.
Yes.
15 years before the red heifer, before Byron shows up,
That's
and
right.
Saki and Dr. Mawari.
That's right. And that was about a year, 2 years before they came that the missionary evangelist came out and asked if he could stay out here and pray and fast over the land. Fascinating what's taking place over history and time. And of course, when it's happening, you don't think a whole lot about it. But when you look back and you meditate on it, all of a sudden these pieces start coming together. So I now understand why they wanted to sacrifice those bulls out on this property. And again, like I said earlier, just like they put the roadblock, if you will, in front of the eastern gate there in Jerusalem, they wanted to put a roadblock here.
Wow.
Rivalries between different groups.
So correction, there was their bulls, not the heifers that they wanted. Aaron, this is in Texas, correct? I mean, not Aaron. Dr. Rob Lynn said this is in Texas, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And
Yeah.
this is where those 5 heifers came from. They were shipped over, and we've shown them in the crates, being shipped as pets to Israel. Aaron has stood a couple feet from them now. That was in the 90s. A couple $100,000 is a lot of money today, but that was a lot of money in the 90s. Inflation has made it less.
Mhm.
But one has to wonder, was that a satanic plan to stop the red heifers from coming from that line, from that farm? Was that a satanic plan, Dr. Lindstedt?
Yeah, I think so, because, several of the Islamic people have made it clear that whoever obtains the ashes, whoever has those ashes, will control the world. Now, I don't believe that. Probably none of us here believe that.
No.
But that's what they believe. And so I think that's why there was an acceleration on October 7th. Anything to stop the plan is what they want to do. If they could, let's say, affect the bulls that are breeding these heifers, they'd like to do that. They want to stop any plan they can that has to do with Israel, with Jerusalem, with sacrifices. And sometimes what they're stopping might be nonsense. But what it shows is that neither side has left their purpose of Israel trying to start sacrifices and Islam trying to keep them from it. And so I think that's the thing that's significant to me, is that, sometimes we forget it for a week or two or a month or two, and we get sidetracked with many other important things, whether it's the war going on in Syria now, or the big announcements with AI this last week and this coming week. But there's some, and they continue at it. And so I think that's a very important part of the story.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Rob, when do you need to break off now, or do you want to stay on another till the bottom of the hour?
Well, I'm going to stay on a couple more minutes because I want to hear what Aaron says.
Okay. All right. You just let us know when you need to go, Dr. Rob.
I learned a lot of things from Aaron.
Yes, I know. We learn a lot from both of you gentlemen. Okay, Aaron, what do you make of this? So back in the 90s, it seems as though there was a satanic plan to buy up all his bulls for a couple $100,000 a year, which is a lot of money. A lot of money now, but way a lot of money than the 90s. Isn't that interesting? That it's kind of eerie. Look, we don't want to give too much credence to Satan, but we also don't want to undermine the spiritual battle. To think that maybe somehow the satanic world knew, I don't know. What theologically, I don't know how that works out, but the satanic world somehow knew, perhaps, there was maybe a red heifer. Let me just ask that real quick of Dr. Lindstedt. Dr. Lindstedt, was he trying to breed a red heifer back in the 90s? Was that going on then?
Yeah, actually it was.
Okay, so that's how the demonic world would have known. So so it makes you wonder, Aaron, if those Muslims went to any other people trying to breed a red heifer, because I think there was one program down in Mississippi. It makes you wonder if any of the rest of them went to any other locations and said, hey, we want to do the same thing. But that just shows you back in the 90s, they were trying to stop this from happening, or at least they wanted to get their own, whatever he could buy up, whatever they could buy up, but they wanted to sacrifice them right there. So it sounds like to me they're trying to stop the Jews. What do you say, Aaron?
Well, it reminds me of what the Apostle Paul said when he said, we are not unaware of the devil's practices. And the Muslims are not unaware of what our scriptures say and what our plans are. Or when I say our plans, the Jewish people. For example, Isaiah chapter 2 says that it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow to it. And so the mountain of the Lord, that's the Temple Mount. So obviously these Muslim leaders, scholars, sheikhs, imams, caliphs, whoever they are, they know about Judaism. They know what the scriptures say to some degree or another. And they're trying to do all they can. I would even go so far as to say that's the spirit of Antichrist or anti-God. It's against God's word. But bottom line, and I like what you said, Dr. Rob, about how even back Solomon the Magnificent, when he closed the gate, the eastern gate, because to keep out the Jewish people and put a Muslim cemetery there. And I also like what you said, Brandon, about we don't want to give too much credence to the devil because in Judaism basically teaches that the devil is a puppet of the Lord. And so not that we should let the devil and let evil rule and reign. No, we do all we can to stand against it and resist. But at the end of the day, who cares? Who cares what the enemy does? Who cares? God's word, it will be established. It will happen. Just like in 1967, we could look back at 1967 when we handed over the authority of the Temple Mount to the Muslims. We could say, well, we Jews, we were puppets of the devil. We gave the Temple Mount to the Muslims to control. How stupid we were back in Levi Eshkol, our prime minister, and Moshe Dayan, the defense minister. But doesn't matter. We weren't ready back then. And in the 90s, we weren't ready. 2025, things are getting ready. Things are heating up. Hamas knows it. Hamas are worried. Hamas have been listening to the news. Now, I believe Hamas, with their warnings and them blaming these red heifers coming to Israel in 2022 as one of the reasons for October the 7th, they want to get the Muslims involved. This is a tactical, strategic ploy by saying that. They want to alarm the rest of the Muslim world that the Jews are planning on rebuilding a temple. Who cares what they say? Who cares what they do? We're gonna, when it's time, it will happen. Isaiah the prophet says it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Dr. Lindstedt, there you go.
Yeah, I love what he's saying because we're on the same track. One of the things I think is the prevention. That they would like to prevent the Jews from let's say, sacrificing again, having access to the Temple Mount. So prevention is one thing, but there's another aspect of it that I think might be worth considering, and that's what I say, the counterfeit of it. You know, you look at Satan, and what he tried. He tried to prevent Israel from becoming a nation. So that's why we had the Holocaust, I believe, is he wanted to prevent Israel from becoming a nation. God's will prevailed. You know, they became a nation. So now what we have is a counterfeit, or we have confusion, and that's replacement theology. And so Satan, every time he's beat, he comes up with another plan. And so to me, I think it's both the idea to prevent it, if he can't prevent it, that he's going to try to counterfeit it or confuse it. And we're watching that take place. That's why it's such an important story, because Satan has not given up. That's how important he knows it is.
Okay, I got to hold you, Dr. Lindstedt, because I wanted to ask you when to come back, and then if you need to go, that's great. What do you make of Mike Huckabee and others saying Israel is being discriminatory toward Christians with visas and tours? And when you go there, Dr. Lindstedt, do you proselytize? Do you share the gospel? Do you pass out tracts? Or is that a no-no? I'll ask him on the other side of the break. Don't go away.
News is moving faster than ever, and so are we. Worldview Tube brings you 24/7 live stream coverage and now real-time alerts when it matters most. Once you have the Worldview Tube app installed, exit the app and navigate your way to Settings. In Settings, locate the tab labeled Notifications. Select the Notifications tab. Scroll down until you locate the Worldview Tube app icon. Select the tab, and here you can turn on and customize your notification experience for the Worldview Tube app. News doesn't wait, and neither should you. Turn on push notifications to stay informed. Every headline as it happens.
You're watching Worldview 2, built on the 35 years of Worldview books, documentaries, research, high-profile interviews, and the radio and television broadcasts of Brannon House.
All right, welcome back. Glad you're with us. Worldview Radio, our website, worldviewradio.com. Dr. Rob Lindstedt is Bible Tip Now. That stands for Truth in Prophecy. BibleTipNow.org. Aaron is LightToTheNationsMinistry.com. All right, Dr. Lindstedt, what's going on here? I'm a little puzzled because it looks like former governor of Arkansas, Huckabee, is being quite critical of Israel, which is so out of character for him. I guess he is concerned that Israel in some ways is discriminating against Christians with their visas or something. What do you know about this, Dr. Lindstedt?
Well, I know that really there's a law not to proselytize, and we see people violate it. And when I see them violate it, sometimes I get upset, like the Mormon Church is done it. But there's also a part of that says that you can answer a question if someone asks you. And I know firsthand, I was talking to a man who was a lawyer, and for the second night in a row, we happened to have a chance meeting, you might say. And so as we were talking the second night, and he said, okay, exactly what do I believe? And so I had the opportunity to share the gospel at his invitation. And when the guy at the next table said, you're not supposed to be doing that, and this young man who was a lawyer said, no. He said, I asked him specifically, what does he believe? And so we had a discussion about, why I believe that Jesus is the Messiah.
So wait a minute, let me stop right there. You were witnessing to a Jewish attorney?
Yes.
Was his name Nicodemus?
No, no. He was a bright young man.
But don't you find that interesting? I mean, here you're involved in the same thing Jesus was involved in, were you not? In the very nation.
Here's the thing. There's plenty of times if we live Christ while we're in Israel touring, people are going to ask you, what do you believe? Mm-hmm. And then you have an opportunity because you can answer the question. Now, have I ever given out tracts in Israel? I have. And I'm not going to tell you about all of them because some of them are a little bit embarrassing because I've been asked to stop doing that in several occasions. And one of them is a little tract, 4 Things Every Jew Ought to Know. And I don't know if that was well received. But, and so I don't do that. Brandon, if you come with me on tour, I promise I won't do that. Get us in trouble. But we're allowed to answer of our faith, what we believe. And so we do have that freedom. I can see why Israel has it because there's a lot of unusual people that come there. I'm not talking necessarily Christians. I'm talking all kinds of people that come there. And so it would almost be bombarding them. But as you develop relationships, it could be in a hotel. It could be, with people that you're touring. It can be at lunch. There's so many times you have a chance. And so sooner or later, when you build that bridge, but it's not standing down on the street corner, reading John 3, but it's living Christ. And then when you have the opportunity to share your personal beliefs, and I think that that's a very effective way to do it. And the number of people coming to Christ, seeing Yeshua as the Messiah, it's growing because people are living Christ when they go over there.
Mm. Well, Huckabee said, quote, it would be unfortunate if we were forced to publicly disclose that Israel is engaging in harassment and displaying a negative stance toward these groups, end quote, talking about evangelical groups coming over there with visas. Quote, should this continue, I'll have no choice but to consider implementing reciprocal measures against Israeli citizens requesting U.S. visas, end quote. Aaron, I know this should be going on, but the timing isn't good. The timing of this is not good because we already have people involved in anti-Semitism and using, what are very rare. I'm sure both of you gentlemen can testify to the fact, and if it's not the case, please say so. But the videos of Jews, Orthodox Jews, spitting on Christians, that's probably, although those videos are out there on social media, you'll find them, that is extremely rare, I would guess. True or false, Aaron?
Yeah, it is extremely rare. But let me tell you, where Mike Huckabee is challenging the Israeli government, he's being very, very choosy with his words. He knows who it is in the Israeli government that's doing it. And it's who you were quoting, the religious. The religious Jews who are in the government, which is quite a lot of parties, they are the ones that are the leaders in the Ministry of Interior. They are the ones who issue visas, passports, etc. They've always tried to get a monopoly in the Ministry of Interior. We've had battles for decades. They try to keep us Messianic Jews from immigrating. If they find out that we believe in Yeshua, they try to keep us out.
Now, let me just stop you right there. Number one, that's very interesting. This is, again, why it's so great to have these guys with us. I mean, how many of you guys knew that, right? That's news to me. You got Orthodox Jews getting into those positions to block Messianic Jews from being able to come over there and live. Number one. So, but we don't need this right now. Someone needs to tell these Orthodox Jews, look, hey, wait a minute. There are righteous Gentiles out here that are fighting to stop and tamp down anti-Semitism, which includes you being attacked, your people being attacked on the way to synagogue, walking on a Saturday, on a Sabbath, in various countries, including America. And you need to realize these righteous Gentiles are some of your biggest offenders. Why are you doing this to them? This is a horrible timing, number one. Number two, Aaron, using the term synagogue of Satan only applies to a specific group of people behaving in a certain way. It is used by the Lord himself in Revelation, the first couple chapters, twice. But it is a group of people, Jews, that are persecuting, many cases, Jews that have come to believe in Yeshua, our Messiah, right? Not to mention the Gentiles, but particularly they're going after Jews who believe in Yeshua, our Messiah, who've converted. They're being persecuted by their own fellow Jews, right? And they're called synagogue of Satan. So when people want to use that term, it's a specific term. And the question is, would that apply to these groups doing that now?
Yeah, it could end up being that way. But can I just comment on Mike Huckabee? A master stroke what he said. Brilliant. And we've been praying. I keep on saying we need to pray for Mike Huckabee, not just Donald Trump, but Mike Huckabee. He's a key man. What he came out and said just now was brilliant. He's threatening. He's actually threatening the Israeli government. And good for him. Good for him. He's fighting fire with fire. And what they're doing is unrighteous. There's no need for the Orthodox Jews to do this. They're doing it because they're threatened, Brannon. They are threatened by Christians. They not only by the Christian tourism coming, even though they should be thankful for it, but they know the impact. They know how, as Dr. Rob has been talking about, some Christians come. They friendship evangelism. They get they get through the gaps, and I'm all for it. Just as long as I don't have to visit Dr. Rob in prison one day, I'm all for it.
I'm all for it. According to Huckabee, the Israeli Interior Ministry has been independently investigating each evangelical organization. Requiring them to submit detailed forms regarding their religious beliefs, activities, and assets in Israel. Wow. So if I want to come over there, if I want to take a boat and come to Israel and set up a studio in Israel and live there like Jimmy DeYoung did as a reporter, my guess is I'm going to have a difficult time doing that when I decide to pull the plug and get out of America, if that ever happens.
It all depends who's in the government at the time, Brannon. But if it's the religious people, then I would just say come in and be neutral. You're an American reporter. You're a conservative right winger. You love Israel. If they ask if you're a Christian, yeah, of course you tell them. But that's what they're doing. They're hunting Christians because they're threatened.
That's an interesting choice of words you just used. They're hunting Christians because the Orthodox that are doing this are threatened. But isn't that exactly what history is known for? Hunting Jews because people feel threatened by them for some reason? I mean, at some point, obviously, we need their side to understand that you're digging a hole for yourself. You're building your own gallows here by behaving this way. Because what you're going to do is allow people to hang you with this narrative when we're over here trying to say, no. don't paint everybody with that brush. Well, all people
Brandon,
do is they hear what they want to hear.
But Brandon, the problem is, it's one thing looking at you Christians and saying, well, we thank you for supporting us and for standing with us. But these people, they're looking at you and saying, you guys are worshiping a false Messiah. You're worshiping someone who they want his name blotted out. Hitler was a threat to the Jewish body, but you are a threat to the Jewish soul. That's what they say.
And this is where we start picking up some of the stuff that's in the Talmud, right? It's pretty horrific, right?
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Aaron or Dr. Lindstedt, you want to jump in here?
Yeah, I do. Often the Orthodox Jew has a double standard. And here's what I mean by that. Here's Ben Veer. He's quite a character. I've never met him. But he has made quite a point that the Temple Mount should be open to pray for all religions. Okay, and so he's gained support but from many people from saying this. But now are they going to turn back and say, okay, then I can't go up there and read from the Bible. Right now, I'm not allowed to bring my Bible on the Temple Mount. Of course, we have it on our phones, and I've dedicated my grandchildren to the Lord on the Temple Mount. But the Palestinian Authority there will not allow me to bring a Bible because they said it's a book that could start a revolution. So here's Ben Veer, very outspoken. He makes his way up to the Temple Mount frequently, but he's been promoting it as a place for all people to pray. Now they come back, and now they're going to say, okay, but you can't pray in the name of Jesus. If he does that, he's going to lose the Christian support, and I think that Israel will lose some of the Christian support. So I think the Orthodox Jew often has a double standard. Thank God that there's many people in Israel who recognize, and they may not agree with the Christian and their doctrine, but we're friends. We can sit down and have lunch together. We can sit down and do business together. So when I go to sites and we read the Bible, I have the freedom to talk about Jesus, the plan of salvation, the sufferings of Christ, what he said on the Temple Mount. And I have both Muslims and Jews who stay in the audience as we read these scriptures and talk about them. And afterwards, when we have question time, we get questions from both of them, as well as with the group of tourists that are with us. So right now we have that freedom, but we do it in that fashion as opposed to, let's say, a megaphone out on the street corner.
Wow. All right. Let's continue this conversation. I won't take calls today because I got more I want to have Aaron talk about as well as Dr. Lindstedt. Yeah, Aaron?
But I'm going to drop off.
Okay, you go ahead, Dr. Lindstedt. I know you're about 15 minutes late or more for your meeting.
I'm late.
Yes, you are. Thank you, Dr. Lindstedt. BibleTipNow.org. Come back with Aaron. Don't go away.
You woke up with a sore throat and a low-grade fever. You know you are getting sick, so here's your choices. You can get sicker and miss work. Try to see a doctor this week or sit hours in a crowded waiting room at urgent care.
I have a smarter option for you. Open your medical emergency kit. Match your symptoms to doctor-recommended prescription in your booklet and take the right meds now and get well faster.
This is not a first aid kit. It's like having an urgent care in your home. It includes doctor-prescribed medications to treat over 39 medical issues like respiratory infections, strep throat, pneumonia, UTIs, and more.
No waiting to see the doctor and no standing in line at the pharmacy. It's right here.
Every home should have at least one medical emergency kit, and here's how to order.
Go to worldviewhealthcare.com. Your kit to treat dozens of common and serious illnesses is rushed to your door. worldviewhealthcare.com. That's worldviewhealthcare.com.
The emergency kit available at worldviewhealthcare.com. Make sure you don't have to go to urgent care. I got pneumonia. I didn't have to go. I took this last year. Stayed at home. Went to bed. All right, welcome back. Worldview Radio, website worldviewradio.com, worldviewradio.com. Be sure to stay tuned for Crosstalk coming up at the top of the hour with Jim Schneider, America's original Christian talk program since the 1970s, over 100 outlets nationwide. You'll find it at V as in Victor, vcy.org, vcy.org. Remember, we added a Bible prophecy channel, worldviewtube.com/prophecy. Just running Bible prophecy. We got so much in our library. Worldviewtube.com/prophecy. We have our health and home channel, worldviewtube.com/health. We have our, what's our other channel, Logan? History, worldviewtube.com/history. And I told Logan this morning, I said, Logan, let's add another one. Let's add a Bible channel. We have so much great Bible teaching. So pretty soon here, we'll have worldviewtube.com/Bible because we have so much great Bible teaching. Okay, here we are, pushing it all out for free with our foundation, worldviewfoundation.com. Joining me again is Aaron Lavarco, our reporter on the ground in Israel, brought to you by our reporter who just went to Nazareth and did another report, which our foundation helped support that to happen with love offerings to Aaron. And we're looking forward to releasing that later this week. We are also working on our Robert E. Lee documentary. That should be out probably by Friday. We're hoping to. And by the way, we found an actor that looks just like Robert E. Lee over the weekend. He looks just like Robert E. Lee, identical to Robert E. Lee. And we told him, we want you to sit at a desk and flip through a book in a suit, not your Confederate uniform, in a suit, because we're wanting to portray you as being the president of the college in Lexington, Virginia, which he went on to do after the war. And we told him that's what we wanted him to do. And he sat in a beautiful office and did that. We told him we want him to walk the grounds of Arlington, but this time we want him to wear his Confederate uniform and walk the grounds of Arlington with the Arlington House behind him. He did it. He will do whatever we tell him to do. Whatever we tell him to do, whatever scenario we want to put him in, we can put Robert E. Lee in it. Looks just like him, identical. You know how we're doing this, Aaron? You know how we're doing it? We're doing it with AI. We have a piece of software. It will blow your mind. We took an image of Robert E. Lee and we tell it what we want him to be doing. And now we have a guy, AI, posing as Robert E. Lee in any setting we want for our documentary on Robert E. Lee. Logan sends this to me over the weekend. He's working on. I'm like, where'd you get this? You know, who's selling video footage like this? Because a lot of the stuff we have to buy, right? He's like, I created that with AI. Wow. And he had him doing the various things I talked about and more. I said, put him up on a horse. I want to see him up on his horse because he had a horse. Was it a horse named Traveler? I can't remember now. I have to go look it up. But it's in our documentary. It's amazing what you can do with AI that's, you know, fast computers. That's good, but you, like anything, TV, internet, radio, you can do bad things. But isn't that something, Aaron? Look at that.
That's amazing.
That's Robert E. Lee. We told AI to do that, and there it is for those watching television. Sitting at a desk, flipping through a textbook. I mean, it's crazy, isn't it?
Hey, if it can be used for good, then why not?
Yeah. Well, we're going to be able to use it for some of your documentaries we're doing on Israel too. Not that we have you there doing some stuff, but we're going to be able to do some things as well to just really, you know, Logan said that he said soon these people that are actors are going to be out of a job. That's true. It's true.
Wow.
All right. Let's come back to you. Is there anything I think there was something you wanted to say about our last conversation.
I was talking about, we were talking about, you know, the religious and the opposition. And it reminded me of Gamliel. Remember what he said? He said to the Sanhedrin, he said, look, if these people, these Messianic Jews, I'm paraphrasing, you know, if who they're following, if it doesn't turn out to be right, then it will just fall by the wayside. But if it does turn out to be, then, you know, you're fighting God. That's in Acts chapter 5. So, you know, there are people in the government who are in opposition, but there are others who have a more open-mindedness, like Gamliel. I remember years ago, do you know, every year, Brennan, on our new year is called Rosh Hashanah, which is the blowing of the trumpets. They have a national Bible quiz where they have the 3 finalists that are televised, a Bible quiz on television. Actually, a number of years ago, Bibi Netanyahu's son, he was one of the 3 finalists, and he actually won it. Quite a Yeah, he did.
No, obviously,
Quite a
they're probably only dealing with the Old Testament, right?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. No, that's right. Well, I think it was about, I don't know, 8 years ago, 6 years ago, one of the three finalists was a Messianic Jewish girl. And the judges, they're all Orthodox Jews, as you could well imagine. Well, when the final was taking place, one of the judges, Brandon, found out that one of the three was a Messianic Jew, and he boycotted it. He said, I refuse to allow her to do this. And they wanted to throw it out, and it was a big scandal. And it caused massive publicity, and you can imagine the secular Jews who do not like the religious Jews, who accuse them of being hypocritical and judgmental. They gave them so much pressure. In the end, he gave in, and he allowed her to participate. She didn't win, but she put us on the map. She gave us publicity, so it backfired against this religious rabbi.
Oh, wow. All right, so what, now we know you're, again, I'm going to change gears here because I just saw this. This is coming out of Syria. I mean, they're just murdering people. I mean, I'm not scrambling it, I'm sorry. But they are using automatic weapons. Maybe they're semi-automatics, maybe they are AR-15 types. But they are just murdering people left and right. I have another one of a bunch of people laying dead in the streets. Whoever is saying that Bibi is a madman for bombing Syria, are they not watching these videos? Because this doesn't look like something that a madman, would do. This looks like something a man interested in protecting innocent people, both Christians and Druze, is doing. Aaron, quick closing comment.
Yeah, that's right, Brandon. These people who are accusing Bibi of, bombing everyone, they need to ask the question, why is he doing it? They need to get their information before they come out with reckless statements like that. People are being massacred, and that's what they need to look at. And this 14-year-old girl was brutally attacked and murdered today. Wow. It's just terrible.
More to come. Pray for them. And by the way, Houston Airport goes Sharia, giving prayer booths to the Islamists. Take care. In fact, here is that headline, Aaron. Houston Airport goes Sharia. George Bush Intercontinental becomes a front line for Islamization. There you go.
Sad.
Prayer complex has been installed in Terminal D. I think that stands for deranged. Terminal D.
Brandon, for years I've looked at Texas as being one of the main hubs of evangelical Christians, people like John Hagee and others who bring groups and support and pray. And then we're seeing this happen, a turnaround. We need the church in Texas. We need to pray against this. We need the Church of Texas to wake up.
Well, don't forget they had Muslim Day at the Capitol in Texas. All they're doing, they're $13 million in Texas money going to these mosques and community centers. I mean, Texas, I hate to say it's fallen. Texas has fallen. And God forbid it happens to my state of Tennessee. But I'll tell you, sometime, I don't know, 2003, 2002, somewhere in there, we were brought to Texas, and I guest hosted the national radio show of the late talk show host I listened to so much, Point of View with Marlon Maddox. And they were asking me if I would consider moving to Texas and becoming the host or a rotating host of Point of View. They're in Dallas. My wife and I flew in, and we guest hosted the show a couple days. They were Mary Maddox, and all of them were just very, very gracious to us and kind. But after spending a few days there and looking around, I said to my wife, I would never live in this area for multiple reasons. Too congested, has no southern flair or feel to it. It's too metropolitan. It's like Atlanta. They've destroyed Atlanta. They've destroyed Nashville. People from all over the world now move in there, and it has no culture. One reason why I love the Mid-South. We have a Southern culture here. We still do. I hope we keep it. But I also thought Texas was too close to the border. Dallas. Dallas was too close to the border. Houston's way too close. But I'm like, I'm just not living in Texas. I don't feel good about the future in Mexico. That was back in like 2003. And I would have never thought, oh, you have to worry about Islam taking over. But God spared us moving to Texas.
Brandon, what's that proverb that you've quoted a number of times about a wise man sees
a prudent man sees danger and takes refuge, but the fool ignores it and suffers for it.
There you go. You saw the danger from afar.
Yeah.
One of the places that I'm going to be going to in maybe the near future, the Crusaders, they were 200 years controlling here in Israel. And the reason why they came on that first crusade was to stop the march and the domination of Islam that was taking over everywhere. And so we can talk more about the 7 crusades that happened, especially the first one, the mother of all crusades, that actually stopped the Muslims. And ask the question, should something like that, or could something like that help in the future?
Well, the Crusades are always looked down on so negatively in our textbooks, particularly here in America. But I'm like, well, of course they're looked down negatively. Did you already put Robert E. Lee up on a horse, Logan? Throw that up there. I'm a big Robert E. Lee fan, if you don't know, Aaron. Country would be so much different.
Oh, wow.
We would not have this strong federal government. States would have the right to secede from the Union. Look at that. He just created that. How long did that take you, Logan? 60 seconds. That is amazing. There's Robert E. Lee up on his horse, riding his horse for our documentary. Can you put Robert E. Lee at my news desk, me interviewing Robert E. Lee just for fun? He said he'll try. Man. Aaron.
What a blessing having you, Logan, with
Isn't
such
that the
gifting.
truth? Isn't that the truth?
Very gifted.
And isn't it something to be alive right now, Aaron? With all that's happening in the world and the technology and what we can do. We just announced today we're putting out our next channel, which will be worldviewtube.com/Bible. It's going to be our Bible teaching catalog. I mean, we're reaching so many people all over the world through the technology God's granted to us, and it can be used for good or ill. We're going to use it for His honor. But I keep thinking about the people during the tribulation and the things they're going to be, I pray, getting our information, Aaron, learning from you and me, even during the tribulation. It's amazing.
Wow.
Amazing.
Great thought.
Aaron, looking forward to your TV special this week on Nazareth. Where are you going next? What's next?
Haven't thought about that because I just did Nazareth yesterday.
Okay.
But, I'm going to be praying and thinking carefully.
Okay.
There's plenty of options.
Oh, yes, there's plenty of options. Absolutely. All right, Aaron, lighttothenationsministry.com and ours, worldviewfoundation.com. Take care.
Your